All right. Aloha and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for making time on your busy Tuesday evening, especially coming off a long weekend, as we did in celebration of the 4th of July, Independence Day for us. And I just wanted to make sure we recognize, those on the call and then the many that are not on the call. That have sacrificed their lives for the independence of our country, such as Aaron Cosme we have here, on call and many others. And so really appreciate everyone's love for the country. There was some sad news coming in from Illinois or some other parts as we celebrated. There were still some instances where people try to spoil it, but nonetheless, I am glad. In fact, I am happy and excited that I get to see each and every one of you on this call, your faces, even your names, knowing that you are safe and you made it through the weekend. Very, very appreciative for everyone logging on. So, with that being said, as you all know, we have a big event coming up within the next maybe 2 weeks or so, right? July 15th will be our social gathering, our mixer, so to speak, 7 o'clock on Friday. And then we will be going into our event on the 16th, where we'll have presenters from both corporate as well as from you leaders. Our distributors will be sharing insightful information as well as their stories and their I don't want to say tricks, but their know-how on working the business, the various ways that they do things, as well as their experiences in overcoming obstacles, as well as reaching their goals. Knowing that each and every one of you are busy, not only in getting ready for the event as far as from a presenting standpoint, but also from working the business to have yourself and your people there at Salt Lake City. I will be doing the hosting tonight to give each and every one of you a break. And so, what I wanted to do, and I text this to Angie, is like, I don't mind doing it because I don't think I ever hosted a testimonial call. And more importantly, I don't think a lot of you have heard any of our Japanese distributors' testimonials. Much like each and every one of you, and much like the many, many stories that we have heard, we have had fantastic results in Japan. I will start with genomics. Our Japanese distributors love genomics. And one of our leaders there is the name of Natsu. Um, she is one of David's favorite distributors, and it goes vice versa. She thinks the world of David, and David also thinks the world of her. She is definitely someone who is, I don't know if interesting is the word, David, right? But nonetheless, she cares about people. Her background is therapeutic therapist, right? So those are those people, much like Dr. Earl, where they look for alternative medicine or alternative treatment in helping people fight diseases or sickness that they experience. So she doesn't like, Western medicine or even the way that the hospitals in Japan work, because basically is when you get sick, they diagnose you with something. Here, take this, and hopefully your sickness or whatever problems that you have will get cured. Much like Dr. Earl, Natsu is one of those that's look for the root cause of why you are sick and tries to attack that. So it's not just a temporary fix or pumping your system with various steroids or other medicine. She tries to cure or help people naturally. She is very well known in Japan, from Tokyo all the way to the northern part, the North Island, Sapporo. She has various clients that she goes and sees. Anyway, I was going over some of her text messages that she constantly texts me, And I know that it might be hard for David's ear to hear, especially when I mention the C word, if he knows what I'm saying. But she basically works with people who are already in stage 4 breast cancer, prostate cancer, endometrial cancer, uterine cancer. So all of these different cancers, when they're on their last breath and nothing else has been working with their doctors or with the medication that they've been taking, they will definitely call Natsu up and say, "Hey, Natsu, I've tried everything in the book. Will you please help me?" And she has helped so many of these people recover. In fact, myself as well as David has been to various seminars where we actually met those that Natsu treated with various cancers, and they are, recovering. They are healthy, and their cancer is remission. But she is a big, big component of genomics and how it helps the body fight off, various diseases. I won't go into detail on what she does, or, especially the various types of cancers or other sicknesses that she helps treat. But she is a huge component and a believer that genomics definitely helps her practice. So, in place of other medication, whether it's steroids or other treatment, she uses herbal teas as well in combination with genomics to help a lot of her patients. And we have seen tremendous, tremendous results. As you know, endometrial cancer is kind of like that. It begins in the lining of the uterus, basically. And so a lot of women in Japan aren't able to conceive babies because of these types of cancers that they have with their uterus and everything in the wombs. And so, through various treatments, in fact, some of them were able to conceive babies. And so I would stop at that. I know David's ears are burning when I mention things like that, but I've met those people in Japan. I've heard many stories from Natsu about that, and it's been wonderful. And so I just wanted to share some of Natsu's stories about that. Moving on, our next product. Oh, go ahead,
Yeah,
David. You wanted to
maybe
say
I'll
something?
jump in real quickly.
Yep.
What's interesting, and of course, we don't make claims regarding diseases and things like that, but also we can't ignore the experiences that people have had. And the one thing, if I could just add on to what Stu has said about Natsu, is that she is a healthcare practitioner. She has extensive background in herbs and food, and basically, her approach goes along with the epigenetic things that we talk about all the time, in the sense that there really are a lot of things that are within our control, our lifestyle, our diet, and of course, taking the trifecta, that really can cause the body. The body's just an amazing machine. That's, our bodies are wired to run properly, not run improperly. To the extent that there's not a genetic problem that we're born with, to the fact that our bodies might wear out or not operate completely, it's almost entirely our fault, not our body's fault. And so on the other hand, if you can turn that around and give the body what it needs and put it in a position to succeed, it will. And it can often do a lot of healing on its own if some of the other things it's dealing with, such as oxidative stress and inflammation, are dealt with. And if we can help the body get over the hump, so to speak, in dealing with those things, it's amazing what can be accomplished. And Stu's right, there have been some amazing stories of people who have had some fantastic outcomes in regards to our products. Just like many of you on the call today, maybe not quite as severe or as high level stress in terms of the disease or the health condition, but some pretty important stuff. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to add there, Stu.
Great. Thanks a lot, David. Appreciate it. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Is, like Dr. Earl and Natsu as well, they are a firm believer that the body has a power to heal itself given the right opportunities and basically the epigenetic science behind genomics. And our trifecta is we basically are turning on the genes that we need to help the body and turning off those that aren't helping the body. And so a proper balance definitely helps. And when that happens, fantastic results, as much of you have realized already, is seen. And so I wanted to move on to our next one, optimin. And one of the biggest testimonials that we had in Japan of using optimin is by a gentleman named Mr. Komatsu. Mr. Komatsu is a professional and certified tennis and Pilates teacher, believe it or not. And a lot of you who know tennis probably heard of the name Naomi Osaka, right? She is one of the top players in the world that have won various Grand Slam tournaments. She lives actually in Florida, but she represents Japan because her mom's from Japan. And when she was smaller, she would go up into Japan and train. And so this Mr. Komatsu had worked with her when she was young and kind of know of her. Long story short, I just wanted to give you what kind of professional coach he is, but he works with various athletes in Japan. And when he was introduced to Optimin, he was blown away because I don't care what sport you play, it could be football, it could be basketball, it could be baseball, it could be tennis, it could be pickleball, whatever it is, we'll always have aches and pains. Whether it's severe to minor, that could either hinder our performance, or at the same time, if we're taking care of our injuries and recovering well, then it enhances our performance for positive outcomes, and it actually helps with the careers of a lot of athletes. And so when he found Optimin, he started to give his tennis players that he coached and also Pilates students Optimin, and he couldn't believe the results he was experiencing, or he heard from these people, and they're experiencing, saying, coach, what did you give me? What is this? And so when he told them it's not anything special, it's not a painkiller, it's curcumin, it's all natural, and when he went through the whole bit of things, people were blown away that such a simple, all natural, over the counter basically supplement was producing these kinds of results in them not experiencing the pain, but more importantly, the recovery time. When they would take it the next day, they could get a hard practice in again without feeling any pain, and kept going and going. And so, when I met him at one of the seminars, he basically pulled me aside and said, Stu, are you guys telling us everything we need to know about Optimin? Is there a secret ingredient in these pills that you're giving us? Well, what's going on? And I just could feel that he was very, very impressed, and surprised that such a simple pill, as or food basically categories, how we label it in Japan. It's not a supplement, we label that as a food category, can produce these kinds of results to the people that he coached and he holds dear to him. And so I just felt amazed, and more importantly, I also told him my story about my shoulders and my injuries, and when I take Optimin, how I feel compared to when I don't feel it. And so definitely, it is something that's not just in Mexico or here in the United States that we hear about. It's all the way in Japan that the results that people experience from just Optimin alone is amazing. And so if you are having those nicks and pains or aches or whatever it is, definitely Optimin does help. As also a disclaimer, which David and Dr. Earl, you probably heard many different times, it all depends on the person, whether they take one in the morning and one in the evening, they double up, or they take four or whatever it is. I've heard it all as far as this many helps me or this many helps me. And so definitely, if you are experiencing those things, feel free to either increase or decrease your dosage as needed. But nonetheless, the results is fantastic from what I've heard from Mr. Komatsu. In addition to that, I had to just share this story. I think some of you heard it before, but there was a girl, and she kind of told me that I couldn't use her name, but she's an older lady from northern Japan, and we had a seminar in Sendai, Japan. That's kind of the where the earthquake and the tsunami hit in 2011. Anyway, we had a pretty big seminar one day, and this lady afterwards came up to me when we were finishing and wrapping up, and she said, "I caught a bus for 3 hours to come and meet and talk with you." And I said, "Wow, why? Thank you for your sacrifice and your willingness to come." But she said, "No, I also just had to make sure that this is not, a magical pill," because she had what they call rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumachi kansetsu is what we call it in Japanese. And so her fingers and her hands, she had hard time picking up things, writing things, just going about the daily, lifestyle that she was experiencing because she was in so much pain. But just 3 days after taking Optimin, a lot of the pain was gone. Not 100% gone, but she said she felt like it was almost gone, and she was amazed. She could move her fingers, and that's why she jumped on the bus to come all the way 3 hours to see, is it really Optimin that you guys were giving me? Is this something that is a magic pill or whatever it is? And so, I mean, to the point where, we both was almost in tears talking with each other because I could see how much she appreciated not being in pain anymore. And so, I personally don't have, arthritis or anything, but we know so many people that have that. In fact, I think one of our executive, Ryan Mumford, his dad kind of experiencing to some extent some pain in his fingers. And every time Ryan tells his story about his dad and the relief that he has from taking Optimin, Ryan almost cries and his dad almost cries. And so that was the first time in my life that I ever heard the word magic pill, is what Ryan's dad called Optimin, because it definitely worked magic on the pain level that he had in his hands and his fingers. And so definitely rheumatoid arthritis was one of the most extensive things that I've heard that, within our Japanese distributors and those in Japan, that, Optimin did help with that. So I really appreciate David and team for having such a wonderful product. I know a lot of you have taken Optimin as well as a standalone product and have felt the difference. Definitely felt more difference when we take it with genomics and link, the trifecta, and the wonderful results that we have. And so lastly, I don't want to make this too long, but I know this is something that David has always asked us to present, and our wonderful office manager Mina was very hesitant to share, but nonetheless she did say that it's okay to share her story. So here it goes. Mina Maruyama, that's her maiden name is Maruyama. She got married to a Hawaii boy out there in Japan a couple of years ago, and so she's now known as Mina Silva. She is our office manager, basically a clone of Angie in Japan. She does it all. She's one of the most brightest women that I know in Japan, fluent in both languages. And more importantly, she just knows everything about our system, also about network marketing. And I've been working with her for over 19 years now in different companies, but she's like my little sister. And so when she got married, she wasn't sure if she could conceive children anymore. And long story short, she started, when we were involved in Active, she started taking Link. And the first thing that she noticed about taking Link was how much her face and her skin started to glow, kind of much like Angie. If you know, if you ever heard her story, when she uses Imora and everything, how much difference that it made. And Mina swears that through Link, and of course by using Imora as well, it really cleared her skin. This was the very first product and experience that she ever had in 19 years in working with various companies throughout the industry. She's tried every other company's products, whether it was oral or it was cosmetic, and it never worked. Her skin never got cleared. She still had, pimples here and there or whatever. But ever since she started Link, she goes, Stu, Dr. Earl is right. This does help your skin more than anything else. And so she was surprised. And every time I would go to Japan and see her, I could see how beautiful her face was. She was already beautiful, much like a lot of the ladies here. But then her pimples started to die down, and her skin got very clear. And so, she was a huge advocate of Link. But the byproduct of this, which is why David wanted to share, have Mina share a story, is Link actually, according to Mina now, right, actually helped her get pregnant. So not only did she conceive one new baby girl, but she conceived two new baby girls within about a 3-year time period. And so she felt that Link, helped her intestines, helped her, insides more than anything else. And through Link, she felt that she could, her body was just more in sync, with itself. And, she was like, man, I don't know if I should share this because I don't think, it's right, or people might make fun of me, but I'm still taking Link, and my, I have kids now, and my skin is doing wonderful. And so, that was one of the best stories that I continue to hear from Japan about the use of Link and the power of butyric acid, and how it definitely helps both inside and outside, as with that. So with that being said, David, did you want to add anything on to Mina's story, since you heard that before too?
Well, I think one thing that she mentioned also is how much easier she felt the trifectas made her pregnancies. Mm-hmm. She had an earlier pregnancy with her first marriage. I think her little boy is now 12 or something like that. Yep. And she so some time had passed, and she's a little bit older. I think actually after age 35, because I can speak to this, my daughter's now 35 and she's pregnant, and she is very upset with the fact that her doctor now refers to that as a geriatric pregnancy. She doesn't like that, calling it that. But I guess at age 35 and older, it gets a little bit, there are some other complications. And Mina certainly fits into that category now. And I know that she talked about how it just made her feel better, that the pregnancies were not a problem, that she recovered from the pregnancies faster. And one thing I know is that, again, she's like Angie. You hardly knew that she'd even had a baby because she seemed to still be working the entire time and nothing slipped through the cracks. So there's only one thing that we've learned from that is now any distributor or customer who actually gets pregnant while on the products has to make sure that they incorporate the name Actives into the actual naming of the child. That's one thing we didn't really do with Mina. We should have done that for a little bit of advertising purposes. At least wear some orange diapers or something. I don't know, but anyway, we got to get some more marketing out of that, Stu.
Sure. Great. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Coco, wasn't your daughter, she conceived, right? And you were saying that she's one of the first active babies as well, with Link.
She was an Link and Genomex through all the pregnancy, especially because she had a hard pregnancy. She was not able to retain the food that she was eating. So with that, I was pushing her, take your Link and take your Genomex. And then the baby now is 9 months. And from the moment the baby born, 3 days after the baby born, we started giving the Link 3/4. We opened the pill and we gave it every other day. So he was able to go to the bathrooms pretty good. And now he's older. So I give you a little bit less than half of the pill, but then I give you every day now because he's eating food, solid food, the papilla, the baby food. And he's not having any issues. He's been accepting the human food very good, and yeah, he's a very healthy boy.
Well, tell him the rest of the story, Coco. He's not only healthy, but he's reading, he's writing, he walks and runs. He can do. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
All
no, David,
at 9 months, right?
his
So
brain is his brain is so smart compared with other babies that we know the same age or 1 month older and younger. And I was like, oh my God, I would like to have Dr. Maroon here so he can see the brain of Wyatt. I can tell.
Yes, awesome, awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, Coco. Appreciate it, and definitely, we look forward to seeing you and many of you, in our upcoming event as well. But I wanted to take time today to share experiences that those in Japan have by using our trifecta, our Emora, our wonderful products that we are active. I know that we hear each other's stories, but all over the world, whether it's genetically, there might be a little bit different from what we have of you here in the United States, whether it's in Mexico, Peru, Taiwan, all over the world. The results by using our products here at Actives, the trifecta and Emora, goes without saying, it works. There's different diets that people have, different environmental situations that they experience. So no one is immune to having the perfect body or not having oxidative stress realized in our everyday lives. And through these products, wherever you are in the world, whatever walk of life that you're doing, whatever you're experiencing, whatever your job is, that the products can help you balance your health and your lifestyle, whether it's physically, like a lot of the examples that I've gave previously today, or as well as mentally, as we know many stories of it helping. In Japanese, they call it jiheisho, where it's autistic. Heard a lot of stories about that as well, how Link and the trifecta have helped many others as well, create the balance, the proper balance chemically within, certain individuals as far as teenager goes, as well as adults. And so our products and the stories that we hear are real. As David pointed out, when I talked about Natsu's experiences, definitely, through certain diet and exercise and all those wonderful things coming into balance with the proper, nutrition and supplements that we realize in taking here at Actives, someone's lifestyle can change. They can overcome the different sicknesses and diseases that they have experienced for a long time. And so when I hear these testimonials, much like I hear each and every one of yours on a monthly basis, it only validates what kind of company, first off, Actives is, and secondly, the power of the products that we have. And there's no other company that I can hang my hat on that I can 100% say that it works, right? And that the testimonials that we hear are real. And so we are in a business of changing lives. And so I appreciate each and every one of you for the many testimonials that you have shared as well, whether it's your own or people in your group. And so we encourage you to continue to not only share these experiences, but also share the products with those that you come in contact with, because there are a lot of people, whether they want to say it or not, that needs help, that may look healthy, but they're experiencing, various diseases as well. And so don't be afraid to share it, because we all know that these products work. And so with that, I wanted to close. And before I do, since we have David, who is properly dressed today, I will leave him to have the closing remarks.
Well, thanks. Listen, just a couple of things. That's great to hear about the experiences of our friends in Japan. It really helps you feel connected, doesn't it? To think that it's kind of cool to think that they're talking about the same things every day usually while we're sleeping because of the time difference that you're talking about, and they're having the same stories, the same interactions. It's kind of neat. It just kind of links us around the globe with everyone who's involved in this wonderful project. I want to just reiterate what Stu was saying regarding the upcoming event on the 15th and 16th. We look forward to seeing you there. Remember, we extended the promotion that for every 3 enrollments, you can earn another $100, and that's going to be extended through the 8th. So that's kind of unusual. We don't typically do those promotions in overlapping months or even a portion of a month, but we wanted to do that as right up to the end if we could, to help as many people get to Salt Lake. I'm really excited about what's going to take place in Salt Lake. I think it really is going to be life-changing. And what I mean by that is it doesn't mean that if you don't come, you're an abject failure and your chances of success in this or any other activity are just completely shot. No, of course not. But what it does mean is it gives you the opportunity to come and associate and listen and actually kind of have that, that aha moment. Maybe relive an aha moment, or if you haven't really had one yet or don't know what that extra special charge that's really going to help you cut through the obstacles and hurdles that you might feel are holding you back, I guarantee you it's going to go a long way towards overcoming that. And the statistics don't lie, frankly. Just like Stu talked about, when, and I can say this with 100% certainty as well, people who try and utilize the products will receive a benefit, period. Actually, even if they don't even notice it, it is happening on the inside at the very genetic, mitochondrial level within their bodies. It will happen. By the same token, 100% certainty, if they don't take it, it will not make that effect upon their body. And the stats show that people who come to events like this see an increase in their business. And it's not magical. It just means that because you sacrifice not only money and time, but things that you otherwise could have been spending your money and time on to come out, it just achieves a higher level of importance in our lives. And what gets measured improves, and we start measuring and holding ourselves accountable and tracking our progress. And even if it's 1% a day or 0.5% a day or whatever it is, we start really noticing some incremental increases in terms of what's going on in our business. Just like we can notice those things. I had a text from Michael who explained how he's doing better after his surgery with OptiMend, and I love hearing those things. And it's great to hear all of these experiences that really do bind us together here at Active. So I'll close on that, Stu. Thanks for hosting us tonight. Back to you.